All right, we are live. There we are. Hello. All right. Today I wanna do this live because I think it's really useful. So I've reached the point. Let me just show you where I'm at. So I've reached the point with my core systems. I'm doing the control mapping, so we can allow players to remap their controls. And what we're doing is we're pulling the input maps. Let me just run it. Run. Okay, these are the input maps. Well, actually, these are the input maps, and then we're going to have a show all option. And this is going to be the vertical selection. Okay, let me just maximize this. And these are our controls, our actions, sorry. These are our actions and our bindings. If I hit the controller, it's not turned on. If I hit the controller, because we've got auto switch, they will change to the controller mapping. And they will change to Xbox or PlayStation controls depending on which controller is connected. So that's all great. But I've reached the point where I now want to allow the rebinding. So just to go through, these have buttons on them, so you can click them. So if I click heavy attack, you can see here attack was clicked. So we can allow the player to either click these with the mouse, but I also want to allow up down, which is the cursor keys, and up down on the D-pad to select them, and then select with X on gamepad, which says that press X to change, or I think it's enter on the keyboard. Yeah, press enter to change. Or if they want to change context, so the actual input map. So this one could be on foot, and this one could be driving, for example. I want them to be able to do that with left and right, or maybe L1 R1. Yeah, L1 R1 is tab left, tab right. I think that would feel better. I'm just trying to figure it out now in real time. Yeah, I think the R buttons are nicer. Yeah, I think that the R buttons are nicer. Okay. And then tab. I think tab will be the key to tab left and right, or shift and tab to tab left and right. But we could map them to left and right, because if we go into my input map right now, so there are a couple of different things going on here. So if I go into my core systems and I look at my input map, there we go. So this one, UI nav, is going to be an embedded control scheme that cannot be changed by the player, right? So these just have basic up, down, left, right, confirm, cancel, nav left and nav right. These were for my navigation breadcrumbs that follow the hierarchy. So I'll probably use nav left and nav right, but as you can see, they're mapped to like tab, shift and tab, left shoulder, right shoulder, or the player can just click them. So anyway, I've reached this point now where I need to set up the selection of these controls, and I'm trying to make this as consistent as possible across different systems, right? So we're going to have a ton of things in our game moving forward where we're going to want menus and things to select. Okay, it could be anything. It could be gear systems, it could be, you know, entering a dungeon, it could be any number of things. And rather than have to code it all from scratch each and every time, I was thinking, what if I make a class that's a UI selector class, okay, and then I give it a, this does not want to be a list, this wants to be a single. Then we don't need that. This should be a UI selection, and we should call that UI focus. So that should be a UI selection type of UI focus. And then we can either put the selected values for each horizontal and vertical subcontrol. I could either put it in the parent class, or I could put it on the child class. I haven't figured out which is better yet. And then as long as we follow the same structure for each time we want to use this class, right, then we could have one script that controls them all basically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a UI selector class. So let me just copy that, go into my UI and make a model script with that name on it, UI selector. Let that compile. Let's see how we might set this up. Because there are advantages to this as well, right? So one of the advantages of doing something this way, not only does it save me having to code it each and every time I want some new selectable object, but it also means that we don't have to enable and disable controls and UI listeners and scripts and anything else as we go in and out of UI elements. We could literally just pass this script a single UI element. We are going to need probably an on enable, I would think. We're going to need Unity Engine UI using Unity Engine.ui. I'm gonna zoom in on this actually because it always annoys me when I'm watching a tutorial and the text is so small you can't freaking read it. So let me just make it bigger than I normally would. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a public. And actually, I don't have the subclass yet, so it's not going to recognize it. So let's make the subclass. So the subclass is going to be a UI selection. So we've got a UI selector. Is that right? Selector or selector? I think selector is right. And then we need a subclass, just to make sure that's in my clipboard, so it doesn't give it the wrong class name. There we go. And a UI selection class. This is our UI selection and our UI selector. So the UI selector can take one UI selection, right, which we'll call UI focus. Okay, so that means our script can be sent one UI selection object. And the nice thing about that is our inputs can basically control whatever is in this field, right? And it can only control one at a time. So if we go from one menu to another, or a sub menu or whatever, right, we don't have to worry about enabling and disabling the inputs for each, previous control. So that's another advantage. That's a really big advantage actually. Okay, so what we can do, so if we look at our current controls, let's have a look. Let's go into our UI selector class, right? Let me see if that's spelled right. That doesn't look right to me. Is it selector or selector? Selector. The selector. That's not who I meant. It looks like it might be EI, Selector, is that even a thing? I mean, I don't even know if it's a real word. We can call it whatever we want, but CSS selectors reference. Yeah, no, selectors is right. Yeah, CSS. We use it in CSS apparently. So I'm not the first person to ever think of it. Damn. That's alright, I'll live with that. Alright. So in our selection class, this is just going to be some information, right? So here's what we can do. We can take a horizontal route as a transform, right? So we can make a public horizontal route as a transform. We can make a public transform of vertical route. And I'll tell you what, let's expand this class so we can choose whether we want, because we've got our control inputs there, right? So we can either move left and right with the left and right inputs, or we can move left and right with our tab left, tab right inputs. So let's make that a bool so we can choose which one we want, right? So it's related to horizontal, so I'm going to put it with the horizontal. So I'm going to make it a public bool. And I'm going to say H tabs, and that can either be true or false. So if I set that to true, and we can put some helper text in here, right? Use tabs. tab inputs for horizontal selection. So if that's true, we'll listen to the tab inputs. If it's false, we'll listen to the left and right inputs. So that way I, as a developer, have a choice. When I set one of these up, I can say, do I want to use the tabs or do I want to use left and right? And I can pick it. So that's cool. We could, in fact, let me expand this further. What if we allow, so basically we have 2 dimensions of horizontal movement. So what about it? What if we expand the system so it can handle 3 routes, 2 horizontal routes and 1 vertical route, and then we can distinguish that's a much better way of doing it. Okay, so in that case, we can have a H tab route, and if this is assigned, then it's going to use tabs. So let's just say what these are. So this is horizontal tab input selection, and then we'll have a H dir for like direction, right? This is much better. It's not tab, it's dir for direction route. There we go. And then this can be a horizontal direction input selection, right? That's nice. And then vertical's just vertical. We only have 1 way of moving vertically. Brilliant. So now what we can do is we can set which parents are going to have their children controlled by these inputs in our input system, right? So that's the first thing we can look at in our UI selection script. So that's cool. The next thing to think about is, okay, do we want, so then the next thing to think about is, okay, well, what about customization? So we could put customization on the subclass, meaning we might want to change colors and the way the thing behaves. On a component, on a component level. I think that's a good way to go. We could put it on the parent. If we put it on the parent, it means that every single subcontrol, so there are pros and cons to each, right? So if you do it on the child level, it means every child can be different. But it also means you've got to fill every single child out. It's more work essentially, but more more customization allowance. I prefer that because we can set defaults. Or we could make a bool that says use default. So we could make a third class now, right? Which is a UI style class. Ooh, that's nice. Let's do it. That's even better. All right, let's do that then. Because I wasn't sure what to do about like customization. Because the more, hang on. Let's call this UI style. Because the more you sort of nail things down all rigidly so that everything is consistent and everything is like bolted into place, the less freedom you have to sort of, you know, be artistic and creative and sort of try new things. But if we make a style class, then what we can do is we can assign a style class to our child component, and then we can just create a default style class. And if we can't be bothered to make a style class, or most like not normally what you find when you're making stuff is like 90% of the time you want everything to be the same, but then you'll find some like 10% edge cases where things need to look or behave a little bit differently. So that's what this allows us to do, right? We can set the 90% from one style. It's almost like a CSS style sheet, right? From one style sheet, and then we can make a different style sheet for whenever we need it. So this is good. This gives us both freedom, but it also makes things like streamlined and easy because we can just grab the default style sheet and say, yeah, that one's fine for this one or whatever. We could even program it so that it the parent automatically has the default style sheet. That's probably an even better idea. the parent already has a default style sheet in place, and if it doesn't find the style sheet on a component, then it says, okay, I guess I'll grab the default style sheet then, and we'll just apply that to this one. So what's going to be in a style sheet? Okay, so a lot of this probably isn't making sense yet, but it'll start to make sense in a bit. Basically, all we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing border colors, we're going to be changing background colors, and we might want to make things invisible, like enable and disable things. So our style wants to use color doesn't need UI, so we can set a color 32, and then we want to set border on color, and then we can do a public color 32 border off color. Then we'd want a public color 32 background. I don't know if I want to call it background. It kind of is the background. Yeah, it kind of is the background. Okay, background's fine. Background on and color 32 background off. And we can, you know what's really cool about this? We can even assign like animations and things to it if we really want to get fancy. So we can also say, you know, what's the default animation for when this UI element shows up, and then we can assign an animation clip to it and say, there you go, play this one. And we can have a UI animation controller class, right? Set up an animation controller class. Make some UI animations, things flying from the left, things flying from the right, things zoom in, zoom out, whatever we want, right? We could assign a specific animation to a specific control, or we could even just say play a random one, right? So the sky's the limit if we set it up like this. But for now, I'm just going to put the basic colors in, right? But this is pretty cool. I'm liking where this is going so far. Whether we want to change text. Text starts to get a little bit trickier. Text starts to be a little bit trickier, but let's just start off small for now. So there's a UI style. So what do we do with that? Well, we need to stick it. We could make it either a scriptable object, or we could actually put it in our hierarchy. So let's make a game object, right? And we'll call this style default. So UI style default, and we can put our UI style in, and then our border on is probably going to be plain white for now. Our border off is just going to be invisible. Our background on is going to be like a sort of mid-gray. We can play with these. A sort of dark mid-gray. Oh, and also we want selection. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, we need to rename these. These aren't specific enough. So what we'll basically do is, okay, we'll call it back. Let's call it idle. So back idle, back hover, and we'll have back active or selected or something like that. Or we could do on. Okay, and then we probably want to use the same terminology for our border, otherwise it gets confusing. So if we do border select and border idle, it might take a little bit used to get a bit of getting used to the new naming scheme rather than just on or off. Also, I want to keep it in the same order as well, right? So we've got go from idle to select. We'd go from idle to hover to select. So this follows a sort of logical logical flow, right? An order of things. So now we can say, okay, so our border idle would be, hey, the control is just, this is how the control looks when nobody's doing anything with it. Our border select is, hey, this control is currently being is the current selected control. So I'm just going to do that as plain white. Our back idle is like the default color of the control when again, nobody's doing anything with it, like a dark grey, let's say. And then when we hover, we probably want to start turning these up a little bit, right? So there's the hover, so it goes brighter, and when it's selected, it goes brighter still. Just as an example, of course we could make these colors whatever the hell we want, which is quite nice. So there we go, we just made a default style, and we've got 2 colors for the border, we've got 3 colors for the background of the control. And this is just good telegraphing for the player, right? So now what we can do is in UI, we could make a folder called UI styles. All right, we can drag and make that a prefab, make it a scriptable object. So there we go, we've got a UI style default. So if we go over to our control, so we've got UI controls. These are our 2 parents that we're interested in. So this one is context. This is the input maps. And this one is the input actions, right? So that's our horizontal list and that's our vertical one. So let's say we want to put our new class on here, which is our selector class. No, it's not. I got the wrong one. It's the selection class. I wonder if I should rename that to selectable. It's fine. I'll get used to it. I think it's fine. I just wondering if I can make it less confusing because it is a little bit confusing. Selector. What if I called it UI select and UI selectable? I think I prefer that. And it's shorter as well. UI select and UI selectable. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, we're going to call the parent UI select and we're going to call the child UI selectable. So I just need to make sure I change those class names. So this is now UI select as the parent. Shit. That should have been that one. And UI selectable doesn't exist yet. But it's about to. Okay, so there's our UI selectable. UI selectable. There we go. Yeah, I think that sounds better to me and less confusing. And I need to make sure. I wonder if our scriptable object is okay still, since we changed it. Oh, that uses UI style, so it doesn't even care about selectables. So that's fine. Okay, so go back to our thing. So we would put a UI selectable component on our UI element so that I can then. Oh, actually no, we would do it here, wouldn't we? Yeah. Yes, because this is basically in charge of 2 children now. Okay, that's even better. So we would actually put our UI selectable here, and then we can say here's our horizontal tab control and here's our vertical control. And because we only have one horizontal, we just leave that blank. And now we're telling our UI selectable system, we tell our UI select system where to find the controls for both horizontal and vertical movement. Okay, beautiful. So then back in our core system, let's see. Do we want this on a UI canvas? Yes, these are UI selectables, but we may. The problem with this is core is a do not destroy on load function. And I don't know if we will put all UI. I suppose we could have a second selector class though. But then that defeats the whole point. Okay, let me think about this. Because we have our core system is basically persistent. But once we get into specific game modes, I would imagine we would want UI canvases that were not persistent. So if we put... But at the moment, our only canvas is in the persistent class, in the in the persistent system, because I wanted to allow control mapping from anywhere within the game. So what that probably means is, yeah, I'm probably right. That probably means that our UI select, we're probably going to need 2 UI selects at any given time. So we just created a new problem, but I've just thought of a solution. So this is now UI select, right? So, and this is UI selectable. So the problem I just created for myself, right, is let's just call it select, right? We have our persistent core, all right, and then we will have our active scene. And then these are going to need to sit on a canvas, right? Basically. Oh, I could give it a parent canvas though. Let me think about this. So what our scenes are probably going to look like eventually is like this, right? So we have a canvas on the core which allows things like button remapping, which is what I'm working on right now. But eventually we might be in a dungeon or whatever, and I imagine we're going to have UI elements on a canvas, and those UI elements are going to want to utilize this system, right? So if I end up putting a selector on this canvas, and then I put a selector on this canvas, well then I need a way to let the system know which one currently has focus. Although I would imagine this canvas will probably be disabled unless we want to utilize it. Probably what is the problem and what is the solution? The problem is these 2 canvases are going to be sharing the same class essentially. But this canvas is always going to be at a higher level in the draw calls than this one. So basically, whenever this becomes active, so this is what I just need to figure out the logic for now. Whenever this becomes active, I think we should make it so that this just makes sure that any other canvases that were in the active scene are automatically deactivated, or at least their UI select cores are disabled. Otherwise the player's moving left and right and tabbing left and right, and underneath the persistent core canvas they're actually selecting things on the active canvas. That could be anything. They could be doing gacha pulls without realizing it. So we don't want that, right? So we need to make sure that we only act on inputs for the currently active canvas. It's impossible to put all UI on the persistent core canvas because you don't know how many active scenes you're going to have. And as the game progresses, you're probably going to need different types of canvases for different types of game modes. So there are a few ways of solving this problem. One way of solving the problem is to have a parent control that sits above all this, like some kind of UI class, and the UI class basically says, okay, which is the active selector. This might be the best way to do it actually. And then basically your input manager, our core inputs, will look up this active select on the UI class and say, oh yes, right now persistent core has focus, or okay, right now our active scene canvas has focus. So you know which elements you're controlling and which canvas you're controlling. Because I can't work on the assumption that this canvas is going to be deactive. There might be a situation where we have code on that canvas that needs to run still. So we can't, I don't think we can rely on the fact that if this canvas is enabled, because another way of solving it is we could make this like, let's call this a parent canvas, even though it's not really. We could make it so that like the canvas that has priority deactivates the less priority canvas. But I'm trying to think of every situation. that means I can no longer run code on canvases, which I might need to in the future, as soon as the core canvas takes over, and we might need to continue running code on a canvas for whatever reason. So rather than hamstring myself by doing that, a better solution is probably to have a UI class which has an active select, and then based on whatever this is, it will know where to get its objects from. We have a UI class already, apparently. Yeah, I remember making one, but I don't think we actually use it right now. Yeah, we don't actually use it right now. Okay, what's in there? Not a lot. Actually, nothing. Okay, this is the perfect place to put it. So what we'll do is we'll make a public select, UI select, which I'm just going to format like that and say UI select. That's fine. And then we could put, like, you know, we could put some logic in there that says, you know, when a canvas is activated, it automatically sends its select to this control, so we know which one is the correct control. So right now our yeah, okay, because look at this, right? We have a core canvas. This is play message. I don't know why that's called core canvas. Really, that should be net canvas. This is my online sign-in stuff. So this is for online games to let the player sign into the game. And this is my control map canvas. So now I'm wondering, do I need a UI select for each? Is it on a canvas level? Because it doesn't have to be on a canvas level. It could just be on the core level. Oh, there's our net canvas. What the hell? So this is my debug log canvas. This is my net canvas for signing in. I don't know what this is. It looks like I just duplicated the net canvas. Like, it looked like I was about to... It says play a message. What the fuck is play a message? Oh, yes. Okay, I remember what this is. Yeah. There's a bunch of shit here that doesn't want to be here. Yeah, okay, I know what I'm using this for. Okay, so this is going to be used to broadcast like scheduled maintenance messages and things like that. We can also display stuff like a copyright, and then, you know, like UID for like online stuff. I'll probably like display the UID on here and stuff like this. So it's just like an overlying core system canvas, so that we can send the message to players and communicate, and, you know, whatever we need to sort of say something. But the thing is, now I'm realizing that not every canvas has controls that need to be selected, right? Like core canvas doesn't have any controls that need to be selected. Net canvas is mouse only at the moment. So again, there's no controls that need to be selected. But we might change that. So for now, we only really want one on controls canvas. Yeah, so this looks a little convoluted right now because it's like, okay, so you've got a UI select parent that controls one child, but you only have one child. So like, do we even need that? Well, yeah, okay. In this example, not really. But if you imagine that UI can get quite complicated, you might have 3 or 4 different tiers of selections, right? Because first you select the piece of gear, then you might select the option to enhance, then you might have to select the materials you want to put in to enhance it. Do you know what I mean? And on and on and on down the chain we go. So that this would just allow the focus of each selectable control that becomes the next active selectable control. Right, the next thing I'm trying to think is, do I want to make it so that when the UI select control becomes active, it automatically assigns itself in the UI core as the currently selectable control? Probably, but I could see that causing problems as well. But I think that would be fine. Okay, so we need a private SYS, which we'll call SYS. SYS equals game object find the core and get the component of the system manager. That's not SYS, that's SYS. And then we can say SYS.UI dot wait. Oh, we haven't taught. Yeah, of course, we haven't taught SYS what UI is yet. And we got to do that now. Save that. So we need to go into our system manager and teach it what UI is. Oh, I made a mistake. UI wants to be a capital UI class. Class name. That way, in our core system manager, we can reference the class in capitals, and when we address it in code, we can use lowercase because it's quicker and easier and cleaner. Okay, so now we can go back to our UI, where am I? Select, and we can say system UI select equals get component, or we could just say this because we're on the select class anyway. So basically we say, hey core system, I just became the active control, and we can send this active control to the core system and say, hey, I'm in focus now, bitch. Control my shit, right? Control my children. Control my children, bitch. This is basically what we're saying. So that'll automatically assign itself now, so that's pretty cool. So we just need to make sure that code's selected there as well, so it knows which control we're referencing. Okay, so now we've got a nothing in select, but when this control scheme gets activated, it will automatically send its select parent controller to the core of the UI system to say, hey, we're the parent controller. I know that seems convoluted, but it means that, like I say, when we have an active scene canvas and we've got the persistent core canvas, if we happen to have two of them active at the same time and we want to pass the controls to one or the other, we can do it in one line of code. We can just say, hey, UI core, your new controller is this, and we can swap controls to something else in real time. So that allows us a lot of power and a lot of control over this, which is good, because otherwise I can see situations where we might run into problems. Okay, so now we've got our UI select and it's got a core system controller. So let's look at our UI select. So our UI select is on here. Yeah, we already assigned the children. We have a horizontal and a vertical route. So what do we do now? Oh, and a style sheet. That's right. We didn't assign our style sheet. So I think the first thing we should assign is a style sheet. And check this out. Check this out. Are you ready? This is so cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a UI style, which we'll call UI style. And what we'll do is on enable, we need to teach UI what the default style sheet is. We can't do it there. Okay, so on enable, we need to find SYS. And then what we're basically going to do is if we save that, go to UI. UI is going to have a UI select, and what we're also going to do is we're going to give it a UI style, and we're going to call it default, which is like a fallback style. So it means that if I forget or decide I'm too lazy or whatever, or I just don't need a custom style, and I can't be bothered to go and find the default style. Like, I don't have to start trolling through my hierarchy to find the style sheet to assign it manually. I can just leave it blank. And if I leave it blank, then the default style will automatically assign itself, which is perfect. So if we go back to our UI on the core system right now, we can assign the default style sheet. Let me see. UI select, we should probably hide that in the inspector, I think. And actually, I might want to do that with a few of the other things as well. Okay, so now I just need to assign the default style sheet to that. There we go, so it knows where to get it. So now what we can do is on our selectable component, we can say if UI style is null, then UI style equals SYS UI default. There we go. So now we just automatically assign the default style sheet to this component if I didn't put one in the inspector. So I don't have to go. So every single time I want to make a new UI element, an interactable element, I don't have to go trolling through my hierarchy to find the style sheet, to drag and drop it in the inspector. I can just leave it blank and say, you know what, default's fine for this. We could do there's all kinds of things we do. We could make a style management system if we wanted, but I think that's going a bit too far. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think a scriptable objects like this and just stick them in this folder and then we drag and drop them is absolutely fine. But it is nice to have a fallback default style sheet assigned at the core level so that we can just pass that to the control. The control can just grab that rather if it doesn't have anything assigned to it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now we want to get into our select parent controller. Okay, so you'll see at the moment I have all these colors set. So let's go and do this, right? Context normal. So these were our horizontal choices, right? We had border on as white, border off as invisible, normal as a green, and select as like a yellow. We didn't have a hover. Hover's kind of weird actually, because hover's actually handled by the button class. But what we could do is we could grab the color from the style sheet, find the button for the control, and then pass that color to the button. That's not a bad idea. So it looks like we need a new style sheet, doesn't it? So let's duplicate this style sheet. So that's our UI style default. So we can do UI style, and this is our CTRL context. So for our CTRL context, I'm just going to copy what we already had. There it is. So the only one that's a little bit weird is this one. So that would be our background idle color. Alright, so let's assign that. Hover, let's go a little bit brighter. Maybe a bit brighter than that. And then select wants to be like, I don't know, something vastly different, I guess. That looks kind of cool. So there you go. Now we've got a style sheet for control context. Oh, you know what I just realized though? Okay, now I need to think about if I want to extend this out further. Okay, Houston, we have a problem. So I just realized something. At the moment, we can only assign one style sheet to both horizontal and vertical controls, and we can have two horizontal and one vertical. So now we've got a choice. Do we either extend the style sheet to include all three axes of potential UI systems, or do we make it a subclass so we can just put an individual style sheet on each subcomponent? That's probably the easier way to go. Okay, I think that is the easier way to go. This is getting a bit more convoluted than I wanted it to be. Okay, it's fine. It's fine, but we need a new class. Okay, so what we need now is a UI root class. Because we're going to want the style sheet really is the colors of the controls on a per control basis, right? We don't want to say, hey, all three of your controls must share the same colors. We want to be able to change the colors on each individual control. So we need to put it on this root class. So if we say public UI style, UI style, we can just call it style. Keep it short and sweet, and the more lowercase I can have, the better actually when we're addressing these things. So if you see this one here, we're actually going to need to put that on the root, not there. So this also needs to learn about system. So we don't need that on here anymore. We also don't need that anymore. Instead that becomes something that goes on root. And then we renamed that to style. There we go. So now it's our UI root that will, as soon as the UI element is activated, it's going to check to see if it's got a style sheet attached to it, and if it doesn't, it's going to go and grab the default one. Same as what it was doing before, except it's doing it on a per control basis now. So what we now need to do is change this, so we're no longer setting roots, transforms as roots. We're going to use the new root class instead. For all three of those. Okay, so that's going to change. Okay, so now we just need to make sure that both of these have a root class on them. And now what we can do is we can say, hey, the context controls actually want the context control style sheet, and this one can just have the default one. So we'll leave it blank to make sure it's working properly, and then we can just go and grab those and say, okay, we want to use horizontal tab for context, and we want to use vertical for this one. And now we no longer need to hold a style sheet there, because it doesn't make any sense. Look at that, beautiful. All right, and I know it's kind of like the amount of time I'm spending doing this makes you think, wouldn't it just been easier just to code the individual UI elements? In the short term, yes, but that's how object orientation is, right? In the short term, yes. In the long term, no. See, what I'm building here are core systems that I'm going to use in every single Unity game going forward. Dorito, what are you making? I'm making core systems for future Unity games, basically. This one is a UI control selector system that lets me assign UI elements that the player can select, and then we can pick the control scheme and the color scheme and everything else, and I don't have to hand code it every single time. So yeah, this is what I'm saying. Does it seem convoluted and a longer winded way of doing it? Absolutely. That's how object orientation is. But this initial investment that I'm doing now, which is probably going to only take me a couple of hours, this couple of hours that I'm investing now in these systems means that when I'm moving forward in the future, I can just drop these elements on, you know, pick a style sheet, and then it's all done, and it will all just work with all the other systems, and they'll all just work like that. So it's kind of like investing, you know, it's like the difference between grabbing a snack out the fridge, right, is just coding things normally, or like, you know, sitting there and cooking, like, you know, a few days worth of meals or whatever. Yeah, it's going to take you a lot longer to do a lot more cooking in the short term, but then, you know, all your food's ready to go over the next few days and you can just grab it and go. Except this is going to extend out for like probably the rest of my development going forward, which is going to be great. All right, so where are we at now? Let's have a look at our little thing, make sure we know where we're up to. Okay. Also, Doritos probably left. That message was probably from like an hour ago. Okay. Okay. So we're done with this. 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 And we're done with this. The only one we want to work on is UI select now, which is really, really cool. So we're going to need the input manager class. So using blah, 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 blah. Unity engine input system rather. Okay, we want the input system class from Unity, and we want a void update in here. And this is where we're going to put all our listening functions. So I guess the first thing we need to do is figure out whatever's got focus right now. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put some safety systems in here. Otherwise we get null references and stuff like that, right? So I think the first check that we need to do is, okay, does anything even have focus right now? Because if it doesn't, then we don't need to control anything. So the first check should be, is UI focus not null? Because if UI focus is null, then we don't need to do anything. But the real question is, why the hell are we even enabled? But it's fine. It's just a safety mechanism. But if UI focus happens to be null, then we don't need to do anything. If however, it is not null, then what we need to do is read the inputs for the 3 different control schemes that we have. But again, each of these depends on whether they have something assigned or not. So let's flesh out our 3 nests here. So nest 1, if we look at our system, we have 3 possible routes. We have the H tab, the H direction, and the V route. So we can say if UI focus dot H tab route is not null, then here we put our horizontal tab controls, and then we want to do the same thing for HDIR route, horizontal direction controls, and we want to do the same for V route for vertical controls. All right, so far so good. So for horizontal tab controls, we want to say if, we haven't assigned, yeah, we haven't assigned our input maps and things like that. Oh, we've already got SYS. Yeah, then that's fine then. Okay, so we'll do an input action asset of input as. Which is in SYS control input as. Okay. Yeah, we could do it here. Or we could put it on a wake and have a separate. Yeah, really, you know what? These aren't even on enables because we're not really doing anything, to be honest. These are all listener functions anyway. Okay, this is more of an awake method, to be honest. Okay, so we're going to declare a private input action and we're going to have input, and it's best to put the names of each input. So we've got input up, input down. I don't know why it wants to call that an asset. All right. Oh, come on, you figured it out there, autocomplete. Yeah, there we go. See, when you... Thank you. Yay, you figured out what I'm doing. When it works, it's great, but it often doesn't. Okay, then we want our tab left and our tab right. So we want our input action. I have to type this one, unfortunately. input tab left. Not that many E's in left. That was my Bluetooth flipping out, by the way. I never actually typed that. And then private input action tab right. Yay! Good boy. Woohoo! All right, and then in on awake we can say input up is input as find action up. Can you not figure out where I'm going with this? It doesn't look like it can. Okay, we're back to the old copy and paste methods of the caveman era. I thought it was being smart, but it gave up being smart apparently. I'm gonna type it all out. But you see why I don't want to do this for every single control that I make, right? Because it's tedious and it takes time. So this takes a long time, but this 2 hours that I'm going to spend now is 2 hours that I save every time I make a new control going forward, essentially. I'm not even joking. So I don't mind how long this takes because I've done this so many times, and that's the whole point. The idea is that this might be the last time I ever have to do this if I do it well enough. I mean, it'll never be the last time I ever have to do it, but you know what I mean. If I do a good job of this, then hopefully... Right, I can't remember exactly what I called tab left and tab right, exactly how they were formatted. So let's just go and take a look at that. So on core, in our controls, we've got our input action asset. So I called it... I actually called it nav-left, nav-right. Okay, so we will... see, originally I did call it tab. Yeah, originally I called it tab. And then I thought, it sounds too keyboardy, it's going to confuse me. It sounds like it's only a keyboard input. And then I thought, I'm only using these for navigation breadcrumbs at the moment. So let's actually call them nav. But now I'm regretting it because tab doesn't just mean the tab key. Tab can also mean tabs along the top of a UI, which is kind of what this is. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to change it back to tab left and tab right. And they had dashes in them, didn't they? So let's set it up the way it's written there. Apparently we can't use dashes though in here. Huh. Okay, so I'll set it up because I like consistency above all else, right? So I'll keep it consistent with the way we have to address it in Visual Basic, Visual Studio, whatever the frick it's called these days. Right. Whatever the kids are calling it these days. So we're going to rename this action to tab left. And we're going to rename this action to tab right. So we can be consistent, you know. And that makes more sense, I think, because we're not talking about the tab key necessarily, although that is actually the input for it on keyboard. But we're talking about tabs along the top of a UI where you have like tabs of options. So tab, I think, is the right word to use for these going forward. So I'm gonna stick with tab. All right, so we know what we're searching for now. It's exactly the same as the way we worded it in here, which is why consistency is nice. What the fuck? Oh, it selected the whole thing, that's why. Whatever, we'll just delete that. You know, it's quicker just to frickin' type it. Right, okay, there we go. So now we should be able to find all those controls. And now in here we can just say, for inputs, we can say if input tab left was pressed this frame, Okay. Okay, so let me just think about this logically. I think it makes the most sense to have our state machine index drivers on this script. The downside of that is we're going to need to grab on our child components whenever we start doing stuff with these selected things. We're going to need to make sure we can quickly and easily find this script and grab those values from it. So we're probably going to want to use our amazing system address system. So our system address system is going to go through core systems. It's going to find UI. So it's going to be sys.ui. And then UI has a hidden in inspector field, which is currently called UI select. The problem is, yeah, this is what I wanted to check, you see. The problem is do we even really know? Yeah, no, this is yeah, exactly, this is correct. This is a great way. This is a great way to sort of address the controls. But I don't want it to be capital U, I, and then lowercase select, because essentially what I'm trying to do with the address system is make it so that it's like it's all, I can't do it in here because the IntelliSense will screw it up. I'll do it in Notepad. Essentially what I like is if I can do it all in lowercase, I've got SYS, then I go to UI, then if I want to get the currently selected control system, at the moment I would have to type UI select, which just, those two caps lock presses can really screw up your flow. So I would prefer if I could just say like that, UI.select. I think select is fine. Even cell, like the shorter it is, the better we can. I think I'm just going to call it cell, SEL, so I can do it like that, UI.cell. Yeah, I think I like that. That created an error somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah, see? So now I can just say system UI select equals this. Look at that. How fucking beautiful is that? Look at that. That's so cool. Alright, I'm really happy with that. Yeah, so now we can access this script. Look at how quick that is. From anywhere in the game, by the way. From anywhere in the game, I can just say SYS UI cell, and I'm in this script. Boom. And if the player changes to a completely different window or a completely different interface, well, this cell points somewhere else now. It points to wherever the player's at. Whichever screen is currently active and whichever one currently has control. Mwah! I fucking love this. This is so cool. Okay, this is really cool. Yes, I think spending time thinking about this and getting things, you know, organized like this is gonna be so valuable moving forward. That is so cool. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so basically we're gonna have index drivers on here, right? So this is now where we can see from any of our other scripts, okay, what is the currently selected index for a specific control? So I just need to think about how I want to word those. So again, it helps me at least to be in here to pretend I'm coding. Sounds like something a 3-year-old would do. 6-year-old. Let's pretend I'm a fireman. No, but let's pretend I'm coding right now, and I want to find out, you know, if my statement would start with if, and then I'd be saying sys ui cell, which means whatever the player's currently selected. But then I need to say dot and then whatever the field is. So we've got 2 H selects and 1 V select. So we can't just do H cell. But we have got H tab and H dir. So I think these should be called H tab. Yeah, I think the correct naming scheme for these is going to be H tab, H dir, and vert. Look at that. Yeah, I think I like that. H tab, H dir, and vert. Okay, so let's create those now. So these are all integers because they're all indexes. So we've got H tab, and this is really important in order for any of this to work. I'm going to set them to -1, and there's a reason for that. Which I'll go into in a minute. Yeah. All right. See you a bit. So what was it again? H tab, H dir for horizontal vertical direction, and vert. Okay, so why -1? Because indexes start from 0, so we need to give them an invalid index to basically indicate that they are not selecting anything. Otherwise, if it returns the number 0, then 0 is a valid index, so we're probably going to try and look for something that may not even exist. Right? So again, we're going to go in with our safety systems here, right? So at the bottom here, I'm going to put a safety system in place. So what does that mean? Well, it means, oh my god, my Bluetooth, why is it typing everything 6,000 times? Okay, it means if H tab is null, then we want to make sure that H tab returns an invalid number. So we're going to use -1 to say that there's nothing here, that this scheme is not in use, is what we're basically saying. So we need to make sure that H tab returns -1 in this else here. Similarly, if, yep, that's H tab. If H dir is null, this control is not currently in use, then we want to make sure H dir returns -1. It seems to want to put these on a new line underneath. That's fine. So these are our safety checks, sanity checks, whatever you want to call them. Vert equals -1. Okay, so now we made sure that our system, because we can't set these to null, they're integers. So -1 is basically our way of setting an integer to null, because you can't have a negative index. Right. So yeah, this just makes sure that whichever integer is assigned to whichever control, if we don't have a valid index to send back to the script that wants to access it, well, then we make sure we return -1, and then we can do validity checks at the other end and say, you know, make sure this number is positive, otherwise ignore it. Or otherwise something went wrong, right? Because if we're trying to read a value for a control that's not actually active, we probably made a mistake somewhere. But again, it's a safety check, right? It's whatever. All right, so beautiful. So essentially, tabbing. Okay, tab left means we go down a tab, right? Right, there's a way of wrapping. Oh, we need to know how many. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I've got to do the instantiation and everything. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so there's a few things this script needs to do. So you know how we have a focus system in here? What we need is a private UI selectable. Let's just call that focus again. Let's just keep things short and sweet. And we're going to call it last focus. So here's how it works. So at the end of our update, so this is now focus. Let's change all of those. Okay, so at the end of our update, focus is not. I need to think about this because we're putting null checks there. Okay, here's what we do. At the bottom of our update script, regardless of if focus is null or not, we want to set our last focus to last focus at the bottom of the script. And when we go in at the top of the script, we need to say if focus is anything other than what it was the last time, then we basically need to update the UI. Hang on. But what UI? We don't have any UI yet, right? True. So let me think about this because there's two ways to do it. There's two ways to do this. When the focus changes, what it means is the player shifted to a different object, a different control scheme, right? So yeah, we need to reference the new from the new root, right? All the transforms from the new root. Okay. So the best way to manage and drive that is to use a list. So we're gonna need system collections generic. I'm going to need a private list, and this is going to be a list of, we could either use transforms or game objects. Hang on, let me think about this. I'd rather use my own class. There's a few ways we could do this. Because we already have a script. Yeah, we already have a custom class. What might be nice is to just store the root components, but then we already kind of have that here, right? On the UI selectable, which is the focus. Okay, we're gonna use game objects. Okay, we're gonna use game objects. Here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna need a list of game objects, and we're gonna need one for. We're gonna need one for HTab, one for HDIR, and one for V for vert. So we're gonna do. We could do geo for game objects. Geo for game objects. That's fine. What the fuck is happening? Ah, my caps lock. This is why I hate caps lock. This is why I try to avoid shifting cases as much as possible. I don't know, I never really use shift for capital letters. I rarely do. I don't know, I was like 8 years old when I learned to type and started using computers, and I don't know. I don't even think I realized that shift would give me a capital letter for quite a while. I just assumed it was just the, I knew it did the quotes and everything above. I didn't realize that shift also let you do capital letters. So I kind of just learned that to get a capital letter, you toggle caps lock on and off. And I guess it became part of my muscle memory at such an early age. Like 40 years later, I wouldn't say I forget that shift can give you a capital letter. Obviously, I know that shift can give you a capital letter, but I just haven't reprogrammed my muscle memory because I'm just so used to doing it with caps lock. And I think it actually makes things harder in many ways. I'm stubborn. Okay, I guess set in my ways as an 8-year-old. Basically. I don't like the way those game object declarations look. I really don't. I'm used to doing OBJ, but then I like to camel hump, but then I don't like the way that would look camel humped either. I might just go for that then. I might go for an object underscore. I wouldn't normally do that either, but there's something off-putting about the capital Geo. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I normally only use. I don't know. We all have a way of doing things, right? I normally only use underscores for input names because I like to put my input names in lowercase for whatever weird reason. And so I like to keep it consistent in code as it is in the class structure. And I think that's why I'm using obj underscore here, and I don't like the capitals. And also that's how I learned the input manager as well, the input system, was by using underscore variables. So I guess it's just kind of stuck. Okay, so now we have a list of horizontal tabs, horizontal directions, and horizontal vertices. So let's think about what can happen now in our system. Well, a focus can be changed, and if a focus is changed, we need to make sure that those lists represent the objects that are actually being controlled. True. Is that really update UI though? I don't think it is. It kind of is, but it's also kind of not. Because I normally use a function called update UI when I'm basically updating the appearance of the UI. So when I'm applying like colors and stuff to say what's selected and stuff. So I don't think I do want to call that update UI. So let me just think about what it's more like build UI. We're not even really building it, we're just referencing it. What about inherit UI? Inherit UI kind of makes sense. Yeah, I think inherit UI makes sense. Also, when we update the UI, we're probably going to specifically want to update either the H tab, the HDER, or the vert. Okay, let me think about this. The player can only be moving one of these dimensions at a given time. So we could have a dimension state driver which references these three routes essentially. A UI selectable is a focus, right? Hang on a minute. I'm trying to think at what. Hang on a minute. Give me a sec. If I wanted to call update UI. Update UI should really know which one of those three controls it's controlling. Focus is the UI selectable, but in the UI selectable we could pass the route. That's a great idea. So we should define a UI route and call it current route. Ooh, we could do some interesting stuff with that. So if we declare a UI route type as a route, right? As we shift contexts, we could set the route to the child object, because the child objects have this custom class on now. And then so in that case, update UI could use the UI route as a driver. I like that. so we know which dimension we're running in. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't like inherit UI for the function name. I want to get this right. What are we really doing? I mean, really, we're referencing it, but I don't like reference UI. We're not really building the UI. The UI is built by the subsystem itself. Really, we're like referencing it and addressing it, linking it. Link UI. Yeah, link UI makes more sense. That's kind of what we're doing. Link UI. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, link UI makes more sense. Because that's really what we're doing. Okay, there's so many ways of doing this, you see. I just want to make sure I get this right. Akio, hello. I don't know if you're still with us. So if we're able to use a root as a driver for the dimension of the UI that's currently being controlled, do we want to use root to return values? Because this htab hdir vert thing is a little bit convoluted. And the negative integers thing is, although we kind of have to do the negative integer thing, but we could reduce this down to one integer, right? I'm just trying to think if this is a good idea or not. So we could just have like selected value or something like that, right? And then we could broadcast which root is currently that selected value belongs to. And I wonder if that's better. I think it might be. So in that case, we want to make root a public hiding inspector variable. I want recommendation for games. I want to know, what should I try? Well, I have been really enjoying Cat Fantasy, actually. I gotta be honest. I was just playing it this morning. And I got Chocola, whatever she's called. So now I've got 2 rate up characters. And by the way, I've only spent, mind you, it's too late if you join now to get them because it's her last day today. But we'll be getting new banners, actually. So it might be the perfect time to jump in because we'll be getting new banners like tomorrow, I think, or the day after. So they could be cool. But I don't know if you're into this kind of game. It's a turn-based RPG. It's got autoplay, but you have to do some of it manually. It's got like business management type stuff where you've got to like make food and make money and run a cafe and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. Other than that, I'm just loving Zenless Zone Zero at the moment, but that's, I don't know. The last update was a little bit disappointing. Okay, got it. I will try it. Bro, how? Well, how do you play it? I see only register stuff. I think I just Googled it. They've got a website. Are you playing on PC or mobile? Because obviously, if you're going mobile, I would just go through the whichever storefront that you have, because it'll be on both stores. If you're going PC, they do have a PC client now, which is what I use. Login, home, news, top up, pre-register, tap. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I did. Yeah, how did I get this? Yeah, I think I struggled as well, actually. How did I find the client? Yeah, this is silly. They don't have the client on the website. That's stupid. How did I find it? I think I got it through a tweet or something like that, you know. Like a tweet they'd sent out or something. See if I can find it. Is this it? Downloads on PC. That's so weird. They've got two websites. There you go. They've got two websites. You want that one. And then they've got a download on PC. That's so weird. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I've only spent so far. I've spent £7, I think, because I did a little starter thing that they did for a couple of quid. I regretted that though, because I thought I was getting more than I did. I didn't read it properly, and then I bought the monthly pass yesterday. And the crazy thing is, I lost the 50/50, so I regretted that as well. But then this morning when I woke up, she just appeared out of nowhere, outside of pity. So I got her this morning, and that really cheered me up because I really wanted her. But yeah, I guess I just got lucky. But yeah, you get tons of free pulls, and I do mean tons. Yeah, you get absolutely tons. I think they're giving away like hundreds of free pulls. So if you go in, let me show you. Oh, a tip as well, if you're on PC. Oh, it's not the same. Yeah, I know they have two different websites. I don't know why. Weird. I'm on S2 Old Town, by the way. Server. If you I don't know whereabouts you are. I'll type my server. It would be nice to play with someone actually. Just in case you want to be on the same one. They've only got a couple. They're recommending a different one to me now. But yeah, I would have to start again, which I obviously don't want to do. Normal, busy, hot. Yeah, there's only 4 servers from the looks of things. But that one, there was only 3 before. This one must be new. Well, it does say new. Yeah. But you'll see from when I click on it, all the free stuff you get as a new player is actually pretty impressive. So if I got a beginner, that's not this one. God damn it. Hope you don't mind a little bit of fan service here and there. Newcomer bonus, this is it. So this, look at this. So each one of these is 10 pulls, by the way. So you get a 10 pull every single day. Day 5 you get a character. She's a healer, she's actually quite good. Then you get an SSR character at the end of your first week. And you see how this adds up. Each one of these is a 10 pull, so this is like hundreds of pulls. You get an SSR selector on day 30. So I'm like halfway there, I guess. Yeah, and then there's tons of like free pulls just from playing the game as well. Oh, it looks like I've got to restock my cafe. God damn it. This thing never ends. Alright. Oh, I can do another Katos summon. Twinkle Spark. Twinkle Spark. Got great names. Alright, management. Yeah, this thing kind of annoys me though, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of these things where, oh, your staff is tired, you must replace them. Like, it constantly wants your attention, but I mean, at the same time, you know, play as much as you want. But it seems to like niggle my OCD and stuff to the point where I can't stop freaking playing it. I guess that's the whole point, isn't it? So I need to go to management. I need to make sure that... No, I don't. I need to go to lounge and make sure that my rested characters come back out. There we go. Put my tired ones in. Yeah, this definitely reminds me of Ecocalypse. Ecocalypse was very much like this. But Ecocalypse was a lot more predatory because it was trying to sort of... It made you feel like if you weren't pulling your weight within your guild, and pulling your weight meant spending money, you know, that you deserve to be kicked out of it. That's kind of where that game, how that game was set up. But this one's not so much like that, which is good. But it's definitely got A bit, you know, hints of that. I'm not gonna lie. It's got hints of it, but it's nowhere near as bad as Apocalypse. We'll see. I mean, I'm still only on week 2. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, by now, I think if it was going to be more predatory, I think I probably would have seen it by now. It's probably good that I came late to the party as well, because the game's been out for like a month. Because I don't feel the need to like try and keep up with everybody, because I'm already a month behind. It's like I can feel a bit more relaxed about just playing at my own pace now. Whereas if I started with everybody else, I would definitely feel like, oh, I don't want to fall behind, you know, and then I'd feel more pressure to put more hours in, maybe spend more money and blah blah blah. So it's probably good that I came to this game late, actually, because its little tricks don't work on me as well. Of like, you know, ooh, don't fall behind. Well, I'm already a month behind, so who cares? You know, which is good. Yeah, so she's I keep calling her Natasha. I have no idea why. So yeah, I managed to get her. She's actually called Scarlet. She's really strong. She does like an AoE blast attack. Yeah, and I just got her today. Chocola. Who I really wanted. So there's only one character I didn't get, and I've got some gems left as well. But I'm just gonna wait for the next banner now. But all 3 of these are like insanely strong. So if you, I think it's going to be one of these games where if you get a rate up character, which you definitely will because of the amount of free pulls you get, they're probably like the really strong ones, you know. But yeah, you get a ton of these free pulls, which are like standard pulls. We could do 3 now. Io is a lot. Is it a story adventure? When this game come out? Is a long time ago. No, like I said, it was about a month ago. It's been up for about a month. That's not where I wanted to go. I want to go to grocery, and I just want to recycle those cars. Because I don't care about those characters. There we go. Alright, that's enough. I've got to get on with my work. It's going to take a while, so I want to get it done. Alright, where was I? Yeah, so I can use Hide Inspector. Public UI root will say basically which control is currently the active control. Is there many stuff interesting in that? Do you mean in the game itself? Is there a lot to do, you mean? Yeah, like I say, so it's like turn-based. There's loads of story, tons and tons of story. It took me 2 weeks and I'm still haven't cleared the story yet. Loads of different game modes. There's like PvP in it. There's, you know, the usual farming, so you go and farm gear and XP and everything else. Yeah, there's tons to do. There's fishing. There's like the cafe management stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like if you're just looking for something to do that's quite, you know, relaxing but plenty to do, then it's quite good actually. Right, so I'm just trying to think now. So we had our fallback system which returned a -1 for each 3 of these dimensions, but if we're using root as the dimension identifier, we do not want that fallback system to get in the way of the variable, but is the null check enough? Yeah, it should be fine. So let's change this. Instead of having a variable for each, control, we can just use a public root to say which is the currently active one. So now we can get rid of those. PvP2, not PvE. I've got loads of PvE, yeah. It's only got a little bit of PvP. There's an arena mode where you basically try and climb your way up the ranks and you'll fight other people. That runs like about 4 times a day, I think, as like set times that you have to go in. And then there are like more AI ones where you just fight like other people's teams with AI. You know, like it sort of figures out how would the fight go. Because it loads their characters with their character stats and then you just fight those characters however they're built. But they don't have to be present for those ones. And there's 2 modes like that. There's one where you have like 3 teams and you just try and beat their overall 3 teams on 3 against 3 teams. And then there's another one where it's 1 team versus 1 team. So 3 PvP mods. You can only do them so many times a day. You do 10 arenas a day, and I think it's 5 of the other 2. And then everything else is PvE, basically. Story, farming, all the rest of it. Bosses. Hello, Pika. How are you? Okay, so we've got a selected value there. We still need the 3 lists. And we need the null checks in these. So what we'll do is we'll start by clearing the first list. Object H tab clear. And then we'll say if if H tab root is not null, then we want to say for each, and this is a transform, isn't it? So we want to say transform child in focus H tab root dot transform, I guess. The frick. Oh yes, because isn't the root a UI object? It's got its own class, hasn't it? And we define it as a class, I think. Have I been enjoying Wooer? I haven't played it. I uninstalled it yesterday or the day before. No, I lost. I'm still salty. So here's the thing, right? Here's why I'm so salty with Wooer. I've waited 2 months now, or whatever it's been. It feels like 2 months. I don't know if it's 2 months, but it feels like 2 months. I've waited a long time. Basically, I haven't been hyped for Wooer since the last big patch update when they added that new Dragon Island. And then I had fun for 2 days. And then since then, I've just been patiently waiting for something that I actually give a shit about. And nothing has showed up. So then I finally find out about these healers. I lose the 50-50 on the freaking healer, get another copy of Arena, and the other healer isn't even rated up right now, so we can't get her. So I spent all my pulls, got absolutely nothing, and I just can't be arsed. I just can't be arsed. Like I give up. So I uninstalled it. Because like I feel like I've waited long enough for that game to give me something to get excited about. And especially after failing the 50-50, it's like, well, now I don't even have a new character to build or play. And I thought I would at least get the 4-star, but she's not even rated up yet. And it's like, what? I'm supposed to wait for another month for the next banner? No, thanks. Uninstall. I'm done. I'm just done. Akio, my laptop storage is now 8.67 gigabytes out of 145. And red for now. Yeah, it's getting a bit low. It's getting a bit low. Although do make sure, because what Windows does when it updates, it stuffs a load of shit in temporary files, and that can use quite a few gigabytes. So check it out. This is really good at getting rid of that crap. Razer Cortex. So if you run this, I got this with my Razer mouse, but you could download it without one. And I just go to System Booster. No, it's not Booster. That one. System Clean. So right now, and I did this recently, but I can get 4 gigabytes back just by clicking this button. 3.85 gigabytes. There you go. I just got 3.8 gigabytes back. All I did is click a button. Because Windows stuffs a lot of shite temporary files from every time it updates. It keeps the update files and it doesn't need them anymore. So this will just get rid of them and all the other shite that it collects that you don't need. So do you want a link? You might have like 8 gigabytes you can get back or something. It's worth a shot in it. There it is. Razer Cortex. It'll try and install like 6 other things that you don't need. Just tell it to shut up. Yeah, that's the only one I use, because there's all this weird, because I got the Genshin Impact mouse, and there's all these like LED things. I can change colors and make it change to music and all sorts of stupid stuff, RGB stuff, and I don't want any of that. Like I'm not 11, so I just, but the Cortex thing is really good because it will speed up your games, clean up your system, and it's all just one click. It's actually really, really useful. Yeah, I have this thing running all the time. It also frees up memory when you load a game and stuff. It's really, really good. So I have this on all the time, actually. But the rest of it is trash, honestly. What is that thing? Is boosting something. Yeah, so basically what it's a game optimizer, right? So basically, the only thing you really want to use it for is System Clean, because it will clear out all your junk files, all those temporary Windows files that Windows stashes every time it updates and all this other stuff. You just got a System Clean and it'll find all your trash, help you get it back. There you go. Just found another 87 megabytes just from the last time I did it. You can go to speed up, but I never need to use this. You can go to defrag. I never need to use that. And then it just does stuff in the background, right? Game boost. And if you have it on auto boost, it'll disable all this shit that you don't need. Cortana, Game Power Solutions, Clear Clipboard. It basically anything that can make you game lag, because there's like all this stupid shit running in the background. Look at all this stuff. Font cache. And what it'll do, it automatically detects when you load a game, if you leave it on your system tray. And you'll see, if I start a game, you'll see it's, watch this. As soon as I start the game, it'll come up. Oh yeah, press F11 on the keyboard as well, by the way, for this. Okay, I didn't do it this time, just to make me a freaking liar. Probably because it's already loaded that one at there. But if I loaded Genshin Impact, for example, you'll suddenly see it'll say freeing up like 4 gigabytes of memory or something. Because it just disables all these background tasks that can make your game lag. And you get all that memory back. And then it'll automatically re-enable them again once you finish playing the game. So it puts your system back to where it was. And it's, yeah, I think it's super useful. Super good. I wonder there is lagging, stop lag booster or something. Yeah, I just linked it there. This is all you need. If you've got an old laptop, there's only so much it can do though. You can only go as fast as the fastest thing, obviously. Okay, now we need to do the same thing for the other three lists. So we've got HTab, HDIR, object HDIR, add child.gameObject, and vert. So h vert, is it vert root, or do we call it vroot? What did I call v vert? Shit, I can't remember now. vroot, it must be small v, is that? What the hell is it? Small v. Ah, whatever. We'll get IntelliSense to find it. Oh, it's just vroot. There's no H in it at all. Yeah, there we go. And this is vert. My old laptop. Yeah, I got one to really bad, and it's been 3 years since I used the old laptop. Quadruple A one you send is like, I think it might need VPN because it's loading. Yeah, I don't know. I obviously only know from where I am, so I don't know about your country and your internet and stuff like that, but you'd know about that better than I would. Okay, HDIR, object HDIR, vroot, vert. Okay, so what that should do is basically, for every assigned component that we are wanting control of, it will populate these lists here, clear them first, so that we have all the necessary references we need moving forward. So if we are tabbing left, oh, I just realized something. We can't use a single index driver. Shit. Because they're all going to have different indexes at different times. Shit. Okay, that's fine. So we do need a separate HTab, HDIR, and vert. Oh my god, there's loads of Twitch messages now. I didn't see any of these. Oh my god. I lost 52, but I still went for the Showkeeper. Yeah, I spent all my pulls. I wish I hadn't now. Now, maybe I could get her if I kept playing, but I just can't be asked. I've got too much to do. I'm playing too many of these freaking games as it is, so I'm not going to play the ones that I don't enjoy. There's no point. I'll probably come back to it at some point, but as for right now, I'm happy to just fucking have it uninstalled, to be honest. I can't remember the last time I had fun in that game. Were you planning on losing the 50-50 in Words so you could get Camellia? Yeah, but the thing I'm saltiest about, that's fine. That's actually probably quite good. Yeah, you're right about that, actually. But I still need another healer. That's what I need more than anything. And I thought that the little healer was going to be on the banner. So I thought, oh, well, I'll get a new healer either. So the thing I'm salty about is just that I still don't have a new healer. And the real slap in the face was getting another copy of Arena, which I just didn't need. So she's at C2 now. And it's like, well, I just really didn't need that. Is that a game I'm coding now? Well, I'm coding core systems for future games, basically, yeah. This is a UI control system that I'm trying to make. Well, I'm not trying to make it, I am making it. Right, so I need to put those else's in again. That's what I need to do. So we'll return -1 if it's an invalid index and the control's not in use, basically. Okay, so what's the next thing we need to do? Oh shit, you know what I just realized? Actually, it's fine to put it here, I guess. Yeah, it's fine to put it here as well, actually. That's not where I meant to put it, but you know what? It wouldn't hurt to put it there as well. Just be extra safe. So h tab equals -1. I'll put it here as well. Else HDIR equals -1. Else vert equals -1. Okay. So if input tab was pressed the last time, then basically h tab decrement. If h tab, oh yeah, we can do this count thing, right? So there's like a wrapper function you can do that sort of keeps it within a set amount of bounds. How's my project going so far? Yeah, it's pretty good. My CEO web, yeah, it's just playcompile. Just playcompile.com. I haven't updated it for a while. What you can do though is you can play games on here. So there's Finchball. So you can play my Finchball game directly on the website. There's some weird issue with... Oh no, it seems fine now. No, it does sometimes bounce off these, which it's not supposed to do. I need to look at the physics on that. I don't know why the hell it's doing that. And there's Hungry Paimon. This one's great. This is my match 3 game. Hungry Paimon. There we go. So we can match 3 and feed Paimon. Well, that was a good one. Well, there's a big one. Woohoo! That was a big one. Okay, she'll sometimes ask for stuff as well for bonus points. There you go. She wants French fries right now. Yeah, I'm proud of this. This is pretty good, actually. Oh, she's sick of French fries now. What's a good match? There we go. Pizza. She wants pizza now. I could give you that one. Give you a burger. It's always better to match vertically on these because then there's more chance of actually getting subsequent matches like that. Okay, vertically. You see if you can beat my score. Yeah, this is pretty nice actually. We could do the French fries. Pizza? There we go. 87 is the score to beat today. My first attempt. Yeah, I like that actually. We'll get some more games on there eventually. When I make them. Oh my god, Pika, you talk too much, do you know that? What the hell is all this text? You know I can't read any of that, right? This is what I see. Like, this stupid thing is in my freaking way for a start. Like, I can't even see a full one of your paragraphs because your text is so big. What is all this? I thought that too until people online started to talk about on Saturday that Your Heart wasn't on the Showkeeper banner, and I checked the maintenance notice and it ended up being true, which Chinese community wasn't expecting to happen. So do we even know when it actually is going to be? Plus, I did stop by a Sunday stream and report my luck to you on Shopkeeper Weapon Banner, which you might say that was insane. 2 Shopkeeper weapons in 1 temple. Yeah, I remember. I responded to it. How can I play? You can just go to my website, playcompile.com, and then just go straight to games. Right, I really need to get on with this though. Just play games, literally, and you just click on here, and it should load. It doesn't work on mobile though, apparently. I don't know. It's a Unity web UI web thing, so if it's not supported, it's not supported. I thought it would be though. It probably depends on what device you're on. But yeah, you can just play it straight in the browser. Or if you're on PC, you can download these. So if you've got a game downloads, you can download Hungry Hungry Paimon. There you go, there's the zip file. And you can play it full screen if you want. It's just a Unity game. There it is. I have to extract it first. You'll figure it out. And then all my code's on GitHub if you want to have a go and make one yourself. I wouldn't recommend it. That one was a freaking nightmare, to be honest. It really was. Worth it though. It's really good. I like that one actually. But my god, that was a pain in the ass to make. I have a lot more respect now for people who make match 3 games, because that is it's so much harder than you think it'll be. You think it's going to be easy, but it's really not. It's so complicated. But we got there in the end. Okay, so if htab is less than 0, then htab equals object htab.count minus 1. If htab is object htab dot count, then htab equals 0. So that basically gets it to wrap all the way back. That gets it to wrap all the way back around again. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT about the syntax of this, because I know that you can you can put limits in it. I just can't remember what the syntax is. Isn't there a shorter way to impose these limits? I'll say in Unity just in case it forgets. Yes, you can simplify this logic using the modulus operator %. Here's a shorter and more concise way to handle both the upper and lower bounds. Okay, let's see how this works. Explanation. htab plus object underscore htab.count ensures that htab is always positive, even if it was a negative before. The %object htab.count ensures that the htab wraps around correctly within the valid range of 0 to object htab count minus 1. Yeah, that is fucking cool actually. I like that a lot. Okay, I will forget though. We'll get used to it. So what's the syntax? We say htab plus object htab.count, which already takes into account that it should be minus 1 apparently. So that's actually pretty cool. Interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to show me the other way now. To wrap the other way, increment and wrap around, you can use the same modulus approach but adjusted for increments. Here's how you can do it. HTab equals HTab plus 1% object. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that's useful actually. Oh, I need a wee. Booster might take a while. It's normally quite quick. Yeah, it's normally really quick actually. And you've only got 140 gig of space anyway, so it's not going to have that much to scan. Do you know how much space I've got? It's kind of embarrassing actually. So we've got 7.2 terabytes, 3.6 terabytes, 9 terabytes, 7.2 terabytes, and almost 2 terabytes, 1.8 terabytes. What does that add up to? Like 10, 16, let's 19, 20. We're looking at about 26 terabytes. All in all. About 26 terabytes. Have you seen how full most of those are as well? Wait. That one's full. That one's full. That's half full. That one's almost full. And that one's almost full. Jesus Christ. That is ridiculous. I like keeping stuff, okay? I've got to have backups and stuff. You mentioned that you haven't tried Wuthering Waves. No, I have. I just quit, basically. Oh god, I've been playing since it came out, but I've been nothing but disappointed by that game. Overhyped to hell and back. See, I was expecting... So I like Encore. Like, so I was expecting a fun, happy-go-lucky, you know, something a bit quirkier than what it is. But it's so dull. It takes itself so seriously, and it's just so... Ugh. So that's the first problem. But then also it like never gets updates. There's never anything to do. Its events are literally just double drops. Like I've spent 99% of my time in that game just waiting for the next patch. The next patch finally gets here. I lose the 50-50 on the character I actually wanted to get. And my fallback character that I was hoping to get isn't even on the banner. So I've enough is enough. That's just I'm just done. I'm just done. Plus I did stop. Oh yeah, I already saw it. Do you keep in mind that his game only works on PC? So if you have a mobile, it won't work. Yeah, Akio is on PC. Okay, so what we can do now is we want to call the update UI function and we want to give it the HTab root the focus to update on. Okay, that's really, really cool. So now for horizontal direction controls, we can literally paste that logic and change input tab right wants to be input right. Input tab left wants to be input left. HTab is HDIR. Also here. And object HTab is object HDIR, and also there. You get the idea. And then we, instead of the focus being HTab root, it's the HDIR root. So right is the same. So dir. God damn it. Dir. Object h dir. HDIR root. Beautiful, and then we can do the last of all the vertical controls. I don't have the syntax in my clipboard anymore. There we go. Alright, so this one is vertical control. So we want input up and input down. Now what we have to do is pay attention to the direction that this is going in, right? So our input left is going down one, right? And our input right goes up one, down one. So backwards and forwards essentially. So backwards is up, so we want up first. Let's input up first and then input down. Input ass. Input your ass. That's vert. Yeah, no, that's correct. Good. So I'm gonna make sure I changed it on the other one. That one's vert. That one's vert. That one is vert root. V root. Input down. Oh my god, I knew it was going to do that, you little bitch. Vert plus one object. Vert.count. Focus vroot. Okay, beautiful. Right, I'm going to go for a P. Okay, so far that's looking pretty good. Oh my god. Anyway, I will sleep now. It's night time here. Okay, thank you, Akio. Goodbye. Hello. Ola, Tommy, and Pika has also been playing Genshin's new photo taking event. Yeah, it's alright. It's okay, I guess. And Paimon has got her own camera now, all thanks to the new event. Is she? Yeah, but does that really mean anything? I don't know what that means. I don't know. I haven't finished it. I only did the first day of that, and I'm going to do the rest at the end. Alright, I'll be right back. Oh, I am really not well at bad oh, it's a bad day with my stomach. Right, on that note, I think I will end the stream here. I'm going to do some more of this, but I need to go take some stomach medicine. What did I think about the 5.1 special program? I had it on in the background, but I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. What do I remember about it? I don't remember that much, to be honest. I remember Lion Girl's coming out. I'll probably try and get her because I've got quite a lot of primos now. Even though I don't really need her, I'll probably try and get her. She looks cool, and she's got the. I don't know if she's supposed to be a Children of Echoes because she looks similar to Kachina the way she climbs cliffs, but I thought she was supposed to be from Kinnick's tribe. So I don't know. I'm confused. But yeah, I saw some gameplay of her like scaling the cliffs, and I thought, well, she's a nice character model. She looks kind of fun. I'll probably try and pick her up. Other than that, I don't really remember anything. I don't remember anything at all, really. But I wasn't really watching it like fully because I was doing stuff like this. I was coding on one screen and I just kind of had it on in the background. And I saw a little bit of a gameplay as I looked across, but I didn't see the rest. So I probably need to rewatch it at some point. I might just wait. I remember them. I didn't even know. I heard them mention something about skipping Spiral Abyss, but I wasn't paying attention. So I don't even know what that is. But I like Spiral Abyss anyway, so I'll do it either way. I wouldn't dream of skipping Spiral Abyss. I actually wish it would be more regular than it currently is, which it used to be. So yeah, I don't really remember much of it or know much about it. But yeah, I'm getting my anniversary rewards and whatnot. I got my new pet. That's cool. But yeah, I'm so busy with this other stuff right now. I'm just kind of logging on, doing my commissions and logging off again. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to take... I've been at this for 2 weeks now. It's probably going to take me at least 2 more. But it'll be worth it going forward. But yeah, it's the kind of thing you can't walk away from. Like, I can't really take a break from it or I'll forget where the hell I'm up to. So I just got to keep on until it's done. Alright, I will catch you next time. Bye.